The beautiful Brushtail Possum, native to Australia. It's a nocturnal critter, so it sleeps all day long and comes out and plays at night. These possums are fairly common in my backyard. They live up in the trees. I've been looking at these possums over a couple of years, and sometimes I see the strangest things going on. How do you think this tight squeeze will end? We'll find out later on in the video. Oh, look at that, it's the equinox. It's our autumn equinox, the 20th of March. Remembering we have to be educational in these videos these days. I've got some rat traps down here, and I've caught a little bit more than a rat. Just before we zoom in there and take a look at what I've caught, which is quite curious, I'm also noticing Mummy's pumpkin vine here. Look at the ladybugs going on there. That is just beautiful to see. There you go, and they're nice and active as well. Geez, they're really lovely to look at. It's one of these things, the more you look around here, the more of them you're going to see. And they're scooting around. Yeah, it's just, you see the strangest things happen at times. Oh, crikeys, what is this? Oh, even the Easter Bunny's been hoarding. Oh, can you believe that? Naughty Easter Bunny, naughty! You haven't been listening to our Prime Minister at all, naughty bunny. I'll actually grab that because that's one of the hardest things to come by. Sorry for that comical break there, but at this time of the year we need every laugh we can get our hands on. It is a very, very tricky time around the world as I'm making this video. I just grabbed the Arlo camera. Unfortunately, I'm finding these are starting not to report activity in front of them. I've got two cameras now that have failed. Maybe it needs a bit of a software update. Maybe it needs a reset. I've got to do some web searching to work out what's going on there. Okay, I've got two Humane Rat Traps there. I've worked out the perfect thing to lure rats into the cages. That one there has got one beautiful rodent. But it's the other trap that has something very different, and it's actually very nice. Let me just grab the rat here, and what I've worked out is, well, I've worked out two foods that is the perfect thing to lure rats into these nice humane cages. McDonald's French fries is my #1 choice, but I do oscillate and I use the cheapest and nastiest chocolate chip cookie you can find, or should I say biscuit as we say in Australia. Yeah. I've just lost count, completely lost count of how many rats that I've caught using those foods in these styles of traps. And what I have in there, and one thing I noticed is it doesn't have a smell. It's actually a female rat. It's a nice big one. I like getting the big ones. Often the bigger rats are a bit tricky to catch. The little ones tend to be a little bit sillier and go into the traps much easier. That's the sort of biscuit or cookie that I've been using. One thing I'll say about this, it's got a really strong aroma of sugary stuff, and I think it's things with strong aromas are great for nabbing rodents. I'm just going to see if this one's going to feed for me. I may not want to touch anything because it's going to be dead scared of what's going on. Oh, it's having a smell. Okay, it is going to have a feed. That's nice to see, isn't it? Look, there are some people that love these sorts of critters, and now it's going to do whatever it wants because it's a rat. And there are some people who see these as one of the greatest pests in the world. All I know is they're extremely smart creatures. Super brilliant. I like grabbing the females because they're the breeders. I will just put Mrs. Radicus aside for a bit. Mrs. Radicus will be released far away from where I live. I don't think I'll show it in this video, or if I get desperate I will. I'll just put Mrs. Radicus in a nice little spot somewhere there. And if it gets hungry, it's got that little biscuit to nibble on. As for our next creature feature, well, this is something really nice. It's actually a protected species in Australia. I'll just very carefully and slowly bring this one out. Lovely creature, and this is only a baby one too. It's okay in here. It's will be asleep, I dare say. Yes, can you tell what that is? It's starting to awaken, and I don't really want to disturb this creature too much. We're going to be nice and gentle with this one. I've actually come with a food offering here, and what is in here is a baby Brushtail Possum. I don't think an adult one would fit into one of these, what do you call it, humane rat cages. Obviously, This little guy likes McDonald's chips. It is so cute, but mind you, it's got claws on it. If I'm lucky, it will have a nibble here for me. Yeah, I'm trying to show him being its friend, but mind you, it's trying to not be near me. We might be playing a game of I don't want to be seen, because yeah, that's the way they seem to play. Okay, while it's like this, I'll point out a few key features. There's one ear here, we're looking at the top of the head. There's another ear there. Its head goes down here. Its little face, and they are very cute, is down here, although you can barely see it. They are nocturnal, they live up in trees. They're very common in my backyard. I know the tree where this one lives, and I've seen it plenty of times on the Arlo camera, and I've also seen its mum. There's quite a family of them in our backyard. I will try and get it out of this trap here into something a bit bigger, and I think it's best to do a night release. Yes, I just noticed it does everything it can to curl up, and really he doesn't want to know anything about me. They are really beautiful creatures. Yeah, very curious that they like McDonald's chips so much. My strategy is, and I won't be filming this because I'll need both hands, I'll put gloves on like this. I'll need gloves. I've got this here as a bit of a cover up, and I can also get that into what is Fluffy's vet cage, as I'll call it, or something you take your animal to the vet in. And I think we'll keep Possum in here until tonight. I've just prepped the bottom of this with that, and I put the apple there as well. I'm just dragging this across the top here, so there's a little spot to basically pick this up, and I'll open it up and it can basically go like that, and hopefully Possum will be facing the right way, unlike now. Well, I've got the door open of the trap, and the Possum doesn't want to turn around. It's got freedom of a sense, but it doesn't want to go there. Come on, Poss. What would we give this a name to this Possum? Don't call it Fluffy, please, because our cat's called Fluffy. I'm getting somewhere with it. It's moved down a bit. I'll just try to make possum sounds. It's coming out inch by inch. It's such a slow process. I never knew it'd be so hard. It's almost out. The possum sounds were helping. Come on, that's all right. Come on. I keep comforting it and releasing its little claws. Come on. It's nearly there. My goodness me. Man, it is so beautiful, soft and fluffy too, I tell you. But please don't call this thing Fluffy. I got there in the end. I had to wait for the possum to turn around so it was facing this end. And then even then it was very reluctant to get out. And now it's in here, and well, it's just trying to hide itself because it's a little bit scared of me. It is absolutely beautiful to touch. I've never felt anything so fluffy, soft and warm in my life. It is just amazing, the fur on these critters. Yeah, I've put apple in here. There's actually a piece of apple up on the top here. And I will cover this up, and I'm just waiting to hear back from a friend whether it's going to be a nighttime release. I think the best thing to do is to let this little possum go at night time when they're comfortable. What I will do is I'll just get Possum all covered up because Possum really wants to hide. They are nighttime critters, beautiful things, protected species like I probably said. You can't keep them as pets, but please always look after our little possums because they're just beautiful. Where this possum normally lives, and there's a lot of possum activity in our backyard, it's actually up this tree here. And I'll go up nice and slowly. I've got to be careful because the sun's about. I have to move around a bit, move around that way. Okay, there's like a possum box there with an Arlo camera on it. But further up, in that sort of scrubby area is where the possums live. If I stand over here, you'll get a better picture of what's going on. You wouldn't even know they're up there, but I'll tell you what, at night time that tree comes alive with possum activity. Maybe I'll throw to some footage that I've captured in that zone there. I've taken lots of video of the possums in the trees via the Arlo cameras, and little baby that you see here is the one which ended up being caught in the rat trap. It was amazing to see how long the baby possum stays with the mum. It's many months. In fact, it might be up to 6 months that I saw an attachment between the mum and the baby possum. But then there's the time when the possum has to be independent and away from the mum. And I think Finding the rat trap was part of that lesson in life for a little possum. The brushtail possums are a little bit like redback spiders. They've adapted to urban environments extremely well. Lots of people like to categorize possums as pests, and one mistake that sometimes happens is people get rid of some trees in their backyard not knowing that they're also taking away the possum's habitat, and then the next thing you know, the possums see your roof cavity as the next best place to live. Possums have got very dexterous front claws and they're very strong, and it's no trouble for them to lift up a roof tile and get inside a roof cavity. As I said before, they are a protected species in Australia. You can't keep them as pets, and I think if you had the thought of having one as a pet, I can see why it would all fall apart. Possums do absolutely nothing during the day, so if you're looking for a pet that's going to be a playful thing during the day, a possum is not it. What they will do is they will wake up at night, and while you're asleep, they will rip your house to shreds. And you probably think when you see them during the day they seem like a sloth, but I tell you what, once nighttime comes around, they are a totally different creature. They are very dynamic, they can move very fast, they can stand up on their back legs really well. They can jump and leap a great distance. And they've got a tail which is very interesting. It's almost like a fifth arm, and it's got no fur underneath. It's all skin, and you'll see it often assisting the possum when it's getting about in the trees. From what I've witnessed of the possums through the Arlo cameras, which also record sound, possums most times are silent creatures at night, but sometimes there's territorial battles and other things that they do, and possums make a very unusual sound. I'll try and find a piece of video with their strange sound, and we'll hear that next, I hope. And to a lot of people, if they're hearing that sound up in their ceiling or at night time around the house, unless you know what it is, it can be a fairly scary sound to hear at night. Possums are marsupials. The females have a pouch, the same as a kangaroo does, and sometimes I'll see the possums in the backyard and there'll be a bulge developing down in the lower leg area, and sometimes that bulge is moving and it can look a little bit strange at times. But there's nothing cuter on earth than a baby possum. They really are the most beautiful bundle of fur that you can lay your eyes on. And if you're wondering about the size of a brushtail possum, well, I've got some footage of a possum, and Fluffy was in the same zone at a different time, and you can see there's not much difference between the possum and Fluffy, remembering that Fluffy is quite a large and fattish type of cat. And as for Fluffy playing with the possums, I do see Fluffy watching the possums a lot, but I never see it interacting with them, and I think the possum's claws are way more awesome and fearsome than what Fluffy's got. It would be very wise for Fluffy to keep her distance from the possums. Anyway, if you're wondering about the two possums that we saw at the start of the video who seem to be caught up in the box together, let's just see how that played out. Well, I better show the footage of this lovely rodent being released, being the equinox. That's when we have the equal amount of daylight and night time, and that was educational, boys and girls. There it is there. It's quite calm, and let me just take it over somewhere which isn't a national park to release this wonderful rodent. This is looking like a nice spot here, a bit of a water trap to jump over if it runs in that direction. Just need to remember how to do this little door thing. Okay, I'm ready to go. This can be a haphazard thing. They tend to run in all sorts of directions. You never know where they're going to go. Oh, okay. That one's actually a bit sick, but it's on its way, which is a good thing. Yes, it did escape the water trap, and it's merrily heading off somewhere out there, I hope. I'm not sure if that rat's going to be round that much longer from what I just saw. Yes, well, it's night time and Mrs. Inquisitive has decided to turn up. Fluffy, can you just please maybe let me do this without your intervention here? Go on. Crikeys, it's hard to do anything without her getting involved. I had a good chat to my friend who knows all about critters, and I am doing the right thing by releasing this possum at night. If I did that during the daytime, it would have been well, it wouldn't have seen a thing. It would have just been totally confused because they are blinded by daylight. This is the tree. I'm pretty sure I spoke about its tree, and I'm going to try and get this possum to, well, go in that direction and go up to its home, which is up there somewhere. I have got gloves on. The claws on these possums are amazing. So's the fur. Amazing fur. Just amazing creatures to touch. And hopefully it'll see the tree and not want to be... Come on. Come on, where are you? Come on. You're free to go back to your tree. I'm going to try and get it to go in a direction. Come on. Come on. This is proving to be as difficult as getting it out of that little box it was in earlier today. Come on, little fella. Come on. Here we go. Whoa, yes. Yes. Oh, beautiful. Beautiful. It's up in its tree. I'm so happy. Even Fluffy was impressed by that. Yes, that was quite a teenage adventure for that possum, and that's the possum tree again. It's gone directly up to where it lives, and that's what you have to do with these little critters. You always have to release them as close as possible to where they came from. Just in the tidy up, I felt something brush my leg, and look what it was, a beautiful praying mantis. It may not be there for very long, it might fly away. It's looking a little bit like, I don't want to know about you, we'll just let it be, hey? If I'm really lucky, it'll clean up a few of the redback spiders in the backyard. And I'm not surprised at all, look who has turned up here, Mrs. Inquisitive, having a good old sniff of what that possum was getting up to in her cage. What do you think about that one, Fluffy? She doesn't look that impressed, I can tell you. I did say earlier in the video that the Arlo cameras sometimes fail. They failed to capture the possum getting caught in the rat trap, and I don't know whether it's the cameras falling off the network or the base station failing to talk to the cameras correctly, but occasionally I've got to come in and reset all the cameras and sort of start from scratch. Sometimes the cameras will do a software update as well. I'm using the Arlo 2 system. It's been around for a few years at the time of making this video. There is an Arlo 3 and who knows, it might be 4, 5 and 6 sometime in the future. And a very common question that gets asked is, how long does the battery last with the camera? Well, it all depends on how much is happening in front of the camera. Now, I turn the camera off during the day because I don't want to be capturing the birds in the garden, but I want to capture the possums at night. And roughly, and it depends on how much activity there is, one charge of the battery will last me about 5 days of possum activity. If there's not that much possum activity, it could blow out to 7, 8 or 9 days. And often when the possums are eating, they will sit there in front of the camera, and the camera records for 5-minute segments. When there's something in front of it, then it will break. Then there might be another whatever minute segment until the possum decides to move out of the camera range. So after a night of possum mania in the backyard, the Arlo system might report to me that the camera looking at the possums has recorded, let's say, 60 videos during the evening. Some videos will be, say, 15 seconds long, some might be a couple of minutes long, and a lot of them may be 5 minutes long. So like I said, I might be able to get 5 or 6 days of that style of capturing on one battery use. The other Arlo cameras that I have set up around the house, looking for other things apart from possums, are set up to the Arlo solar panel, so during the day the battery is recharged. Then once that's set up correctly and the panel's facing in the right direction, they're basically set and forget. You can also plug these cameras into the mains if you've got a USB outlet on your sockets or maybe a power board. And you can also power them up via a battery pack recharge, and again using the USB type cable into the back of the camera. I've had this Arlo camera system, it feels like a couple of years now, and it's amazing when you set one of these cameras up at night in your backyard, you'll be really surprised at what gets around at night. I've been able to capture all the stray cats, some rogue bats, and everything else in between.